The rise of grief horror and how audiences are using horror films to process trauma. I saw this article on iHorror News and I wanted to talk about it because I've been seeing this a lot lately. And I think I've addressed it in other podcasts and other videos that I've noticed a lot of horror films that have been coming out after the pandemic and even some before have been about trauma and dealing with it. And not only dealing with the trauma, but how to overcome it and just expressing the feelings and things that they have been going through. It says there's something happening to horror right now, and it's one of the biggest trendy things that is going on. And we've seen a lot of films like that. There's Boogeyman, there's Hereditary. There's other films that have been really focused on trauma, and Babadook is one of the bigger ones. Other films that it mentioned is A Quiet Place, The Night House, prove that we all have some unresolved trauma and that we should probably address. And sometimes watching these films trigger those feelings. Especially the two films that triggered mine was The Conjuring and The Black Phone. Those two really pushed the buttons on things that I needed to resolve, and some things I did resolve, but it was a reminder of everything I went through and where I am now. In a lot of the horror movies that we are watching now, a lot of the monsters are not just under our beds, in the closets, things like that. They're in our minds. They're roaming around just free, and we're trying to figure out how can we cope with this? How can we resolve this? What help do we need to understand what is going on in our minds? And a lot of these filmmakers are putting it out there. They're putting their trauma out there. They're putting someone else's trauma out there. Smile is another one that really focus on one of the taboo subjects that people are scared to talk about, but it needs to be addressed that mental illness is something that we need to understand so we can do more research on and get more things and resources to help people. But we always hide behind things. And I think movies like Smile, like The Babadook, Hereditary, and The Black Phone, The Conjuring is really bringing those feelings to the forefront of loss and grief and being misunderstood.